Good evening, SRA Nation.
We're excited to get this season off with a bang.
I think they're all taking tires. And on top of that, it's going to be saucier. It's going to be an all-out shootout to the end. He's got line of sight on these guys.
I commend you for the bravery getting this close to the diffuser.
All you gotta do is win the race. You don't have to lead a whole bunch of laps.
Oh, they're going to be side by side going into the next corner.
Oh, that's a big contact in the back of the field.
Can't stay out there like this.
He stayed in it!
We're off and away for SRA.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sim Racing Alliance. Yet again, we're here. It's week 4. I'm Andrew Reif, as always, joined now by Andrew Berg and Selena Boonstra. We're here for Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and oh my god, I cannot drive this track, guys. But we've got what is looking to be a promising race in front of us after last week of Paul Ricard. It was a very, very fun evening at that, but now it is just blistering temperatures out on the track for qualifying today.
Yeah, we're coming from a super cold Paul Ricard last week. To your point, an absolutely blistering hot Indianapolis. The good thing here is they get to take tires, and how important is taking tires, Selena?
Really important here at Indianapolis, especially because with these really tight conditions, with the temperatures being nearly 40 degrees Celsius, we are looking at being just very thankful that we'll be able to change tires, because big degree of weather, and it's especially through the S's, turns 9 to 10, really hard on the tires, and especially the final corner, turn 15, and that's going to take a lot of weight on the left side of the tires. So it's really going to be really crucial for the tire change, and glad we have it tonight.
As I say, the pit lane isn't going to do its best effort to slow down the race times of many of the drivers. So, Andrew, you were even saying before we even got on the air, track limits, you got to be careful, especially out there at turn 11. You know, lots of drivers going to be abusing the curb on the inside as much as they can out onto the oval of 12 and 13. But if you get that drive-through penalty, you are looking at a long meander down pit road. So definitely something that you're going to want to try to avoid. But as a transition over now, we'll take a look at the driver standings, or excuse me, this is we've got the team standings up. We want to go to the driver standings. We'll take a look at that in a second. But big stories for this week. We had a couple of graduates as well as a couple of promotees into the division, Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. So we lost Big Daddy, who was our race winner at Paul Ricard, and we lost Tibbetts. He was on pole position last week at Paul Ricard. This was Tibbetts' first race back. He's gone, promoted. Big Daddy, he wasn't happy about that. Sorry, you got no argument. You won the race by 43 seconds. But we're getting from D6 promoted Thomas Ma and DZ. So 2 drivers coming with race-winning pedigree. They have both, I believe DZ has a win in D6, and Thomas Ma, I'm sorry, you're right, they both have race wins in D6. So both coming with race-winning pedigree here into D5.
It's not going to have a huge shakeup on the standings, though. I mean, taking a look down here at our number 1 driver at the moment, it is Austin Red right now for T-Rex in the Huracan GT3 Evo 2. So kind of getting moved a little bit up the order here is Red. Didn't exactly have the stand-up performance that we might have been hoping for at the last race in Paul Ricard, but you're still on top in the driver's standings. Josh Grush was also notable for their impressive performance their first time out at Snetterton. Tyler Thompson in 3rd place as well. Very, very close fight for the front of the field as it stands. Some more notable names as you go down the list, though. Don Queen, Kent Van Sickle, both very strong drivers there's been a lot of stories around them. Connor Yatsierski actually sneaking just a little bit in front of them, though, and Thomas Greer, a race winner at the season opener, who actually starts with a qualifying ban on this race. So a bit of an interesting story there, and there are more and more talented drivers as we move down the list. Again, James Spiker in 11th. Nathan Schaefer also with a qualifying ban for this race. And Thomas Ma, even one of our promotees, is starting with a qualifying ban. So he'll be in the back of the field with a couple of other fast racers.
Yeah, it's still a team series. Is Corsa Spazzatura, Italian for garbage racing. I haven't seen anything but that from them. So Spiker and Thompson lead the championship here at the top. And a pretty good margin from Plan E Racing from Kent Van Sickle and Mike Cowley. Talk about a roller coaster ride driver is Kent Van Sickle this season. If he can manage to have more highs than lows, that gap's going to close between those two top teams.
Yeah, me talking about close racing, of course. The 295 for Corsa Spazzatura out in front. I mean, that seems like a fairly large lead, but based on the outings that we've seen from James Spiker and Tyler Thompson, it might be subject to change. You got to keep that consistency up, and both of them have kind of gotten a little bit involved in a couple of incidents over the last couple of races. So they do have to make sure that they are keeping it clean and keeping it consistent, but that lead should hopefully take them home. And then T-Rex, of course, Jerome Mai, who we haven't seen a whole lot of just yet, but Austin Wright kind of leading the way for that team. Monaco's Gamblers with Regale Vital and Steven Music just behind them as well. Still very much in the conversation. Of course, this is the 4th of 8 races coming up, so we're not even halfway done with the season. We'll finish that benchmark as we finish the race today. But it does seem like I don't know if this is a me thing, but I've been disconnected from the server, so we'll keep you updated on that. I'll see if that maybe is just a me thing. But either way, we'll have something special for you tonight. I want to take a look just real quick at page 2 of the driver standings as well. Just because, you know, get a little bit of a look at it, because there are quite a few names down here who will be fighting for many positions. Jan Rodricks is there. I believe they're actually also due up for a qualifying ban, so it's not necessarily been an amazing season for them. Aaron Kovac, a name that I like to mention. Connor Farrell as well. Very talented drivers in their own right. Brett Vaughn as well. I mean, one that we talk about many times during races. And it does look like I'm back in the server, so everything's fine on that front, guys. But,
I believe that's from Snetterton. Did not race last week at Paul Ricard, so he will have to serve that if he is racing here tonight. So something to look out for. I think we also have qualifying bans or at least severe penalty starts from, you mentioned Greer, I think Thomas Ma as well. So our new driver into D5, he's going to be starting from, I believe it's a pit lane start, not even a qualifying ban. So that means he's got 6 penalty points.
Oh, wow.
He's only afforded 2 more before it's a race ban. So got to keep it clean.
That's insane. I didn't even realize if it is a pit lane start, that'll be, yeah, pretty harsh. And it does kind of bring into the question what drivers are going to do for strategy. It looks like free practice is just about to end, so we'll shift over to that in a moment and get some live looks at the track. But as we were talking about earlier, 37 degrees Celsius here at the end of the free practice session. I'm expecting it to be roundabouts the same, maybe a little bit cooler, fingers crossed, for the actual qualifying. But with the golds going out second, it does beg the question on whether or not the silver drivers are going to have something of an advantage, because if the track does indeed heat up more and more as the session goes on, then depending on what the starting conditions are, that is to say in terms of rubber, it could be a very different situation.
I'll let Selena answer this, but in the servers that I've seen, the silver drivers are going to be going out on the track first, and the track's going to be starting in fast. So just a quick reminder, folks, it goes green, fast, optimum. So optimum is going to be the fastest track. I believe silver is going to be starting in fast, and then it will turn over to optimum. So I think the gold drivers are actually going to have an advantage. Selena, how much of an advantage is fast to gold? It's fast to optimum.
Well, optimum, as you said, the grip, it will be a lot better because the track is already rubbered in from the silver drivers, so the golds will have a lot more grip since the track is rubbered in. So we'll see that advantage coming with the golds as the track rubbers in. They'll be gaining about a few tenths here and there from the rubber just all laid out on the track from the silver drivers.
And that rubber's important too, right? This is a flat track, really, really flat. And it's also hot, right? So, especially the rears, right? The rear tires, on a flat track, they're really struggling for grip. You're trying to find grip, particularly on the lower speed corners. So think sector 2, right? After that long left-hander, you're going into turn 7, right? That's a particular corner where lower than you think you do. The track really opens up wide there, but you have to be really, really careful on throttle. So what do? I cheat. I bump up the traction control, right? It's the easiest way for me to put the throttle down as hard as I can and let the computer do the driving for me there. I just find that easiest. But with an optimum track, you can be a little more heavy on the throttle than you can be on fast. That's going to be the biggest difference, I believe. But it's going to get fast quick here. We'll see how big of that advantage is. It's been difficult to tell the silver versus the gold drivers so far this season. So I don't think there's really much difference between the two.
Yeah, the silvers have been really strong so far this season. So even though they have the disadvantage,
Eric Kovacs has been taken out in the qualifying session. What in the world? What happened?
Oh no!
We haven't even gotten across the line yet. It was just on the straight, and there looked to be some sort of accordion effect. I think the drivers in front just were trying to keep their tires cool and just got rear-ended.
Oh, he got hit. Wow. He got hit by that Porsche.
Oh my.
Wow.
Well, we're off to a hot start with Division 5 tonight. It's James Spiker leading the field out across the line to begin qualifying, but I don't think that is a start that any of us were expecting.
Yeah,
I think that was Christian Maurice who went into the back of Kovac, right?
I don't know. I know that Maurice does drive a Porsche.
That was Maurice. Who's responsible for that. That's going to be a penalty. You make a penalty on a yellow leading into qualifying. That's not going to make Stewart's happy. Oh, yeah, Maurice is going to have some answering to do.
Speaking of yellow, Stephanie Fisher's off at turn 1 there. It looks like it may or may not have been some sort of hardware failure. I do want to follow Spiker across their lap here, as this has been one of the story drivers so far of the season. Looked like they were, really set up for a podium finish at Kyalami, but it didn't really come to them, so to speak. They had a couple of some incidents here and again, and it caused some issues, but they have a chance. They still have very much a chance, of course, in the Drivers' Championship, and Spiker has shown some solid pace throughout. So as the track does look like it's already evolved into optimum, the temperature, though, a scorching 37 degrees, as we talked about, here off on the baking, in towards the final sector of the track. Very, very challenging to find your braking zone down to the meter there, of course, with the 300 board. You got to brake a little bit before that. Now traction down onto T-last, onto the pit straight, and it's going to be the first qualifying lap of the day. I'm expecting some mid-37s here, as some, I would call that a decent time for this field, and we start with a 37.9, so a good first lap here for James Spiker.
Yeah, James Spiker qualified on pole at Kyalami in round number 1. Last week was a heartbreak for James Spiker. He was disqualified from the race, and I don't think this was his fault. He was coming into the pits, okay, at Paul Ricard, and if you recall, it's a quick shoot right into the pits, very, very short entry. He got hit from behind, and I don't think he filed a ticket, so he got hit from behind, flew into the pits far faster than he should have been. Game disqualified him right away, no chance. So looking for redemption here, but pace, he's got it, James Spiker.
And Ian Demler puts down a lap of 137.8, so just a tenth ahead of, I believe it was Who's the
It was
Like a-
previous pole starter?
Yeah.
Just stole that away.
Yeah.
Solid lap time so far from Division 5.
Yeah, it looks like, oh, there's another car stop. That was Dan Rufus there. It must be on an out lap at present, so letting the traffic by. We're on board with Raf Cab now. I'm seeing lots and lots of green down my race control. Not significant improvements. And something worth noting as well, you know, qualifying is going to be rather representative, I would think, of a lot of these drivers' race pace overall. Because of the track conditions right now. If you can manage to master this hot track, then things are going to be very, very good for you as you get out onto the cooler conditions of the actual race. I've noticed that change in a lot of spots, and RAFCAB is improving massively on their banker lap time right now, a second and a half up and in lowering right now, all the way down to 1.7 seconds worth of time saved onto the pit straight from a 140.2, advancing up the field to a 138.5. Nice improvement.
Yeah, Raf Cab, quick note on him. Second most gained positions this season. So consider where he's typically started in the race. He's been further back. So he's done pretty well in race scenarios. If he can start up near the front, though, or at least closer to the front, you wonder what kind of results he may be able to get. So this is going to be big. Clearly, this would be the best starting position for Raf Cab. Granted, still got a long way to go in the session.
He's improving again, actually, by quite a bit. I'll go on board, though, with McCullough right now. About a half second up on their time, a 138.1, so it does look like times are beginning to come down. I mean, important note on Ian Demler as well. We saw him participating in Division 4 the last season, so he's actually demoted down to Division 5, but had the pace to be in Division 4 last season. So it's not outlandish at all to expect him to be performing nearer the top of the field. So for Ian Demler, a pole start, I do agree, would be a massive change for him, or at least starting up there near the top and being able to avoid incidents, of course, would also be something worth noting. McLaren can have some trouble with the front grip as tires wear away, so having a mandatory tire swap might be a little bit of help, and it looks like McCullough might get a little bit of a tow down the pit straight here with an 0.8 improvement at this stage of the lap from a 138.1. This is going to look like a provisional pole time. Raf Cab is still improving behind, though. It's a 137.3 there for McCullough, but here comes Raf Cab, 0.9 up on a 138.5, so they're going to make a significant improvement now into 4th place.
Oh, it
Yeah, I
looks
don't
like
believe Tyler McCullough drove in the first or raced in the first two races, or excuse me, he did, but I just don't have where he finished, or at least qualified. But I think at Paul Ricard, McCullough did not have much of a qualifying session, so I think it was in the 30s. Big improvement here.
Just seen Kevin Under across the line into P3. It's Mertzen on about a second of improvement into P10. A nice little lap there. Improvement coming the way of Matthew Eriquez, one of the father-son combo that we talked about at Paul Ricard specifically. Matthew Eriquez, who I believe got involved in an incident last week as well, so was looking for a nice, consistent, clean one today. I'm also seeing Tyler McCullough is up about 0.4 on his time. If you want to grab that one on the PIP and watch them cross the line very, very late on in their lap. They're actually ahead on the track right now. I mean, that is a screaming lap. A 137.3 on this side of the track is already respectable, but coming down with their delta now is just, it's insane.
This is close.
For sure.
This might be a 36. He's very, very close. Demler's right there, too.
Keep an eye on Demler. Comes across the line. Not quite at 36. I think they
Really
lost
close.
a little bit of time.
This is Demler and PIP, and on board.
Still
Big improvement. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
big improvement. Up 0.4 here. What's he got? He's got it. 36.9. We are into the 36s. It's Ian Demler. He's taking silver pole here, and he's at 913 McLaren. Racing for oh boy, I don't know how to say that. Mincia? Mincia McLaren. We'll just go. Let's go with that.
trying.
Oh, man. Lots of green still, though. on the race control. Mertzen comes across the line with a bit of a time improvement. I think that actually might have been an invalid lap. I caught it right on the tail end, so I didn't have a chance to check it out. Spiker's improving. JP May is improving just now up into 13th position. With Spiker, if they can find a little bit of time here in the closing couple of corners, they might be able to contest for that pole time. And through, I believe that's turn 13 right there, and 14. It looks like the Delta's going down a little bit, but power on the exit here is so challenging to get across onto the pit straight. You can even get some wheel spin in third here if you're not careful. Got to keep that steering lock a little bit light, and it's going to be about a 4/10 improvement up to a 1:37.2 for P3.
Yeah, big moves there from, but it's still McCulloch, and it's still Demler. I think Demler's done, so he's not going to improve. McCulloch, is he still on a lap? No, he's bailed as well. I think Cowley's the only driver on a lap right now, at least in the top 5. And here comes Cowley across the line. This is another improvement for him. There it is, up to 4th. From 7th. Getting it in on the last try there from Mike Cowley.
And now for the gold drivers to set their banker laps. Now that the track is rubbered in, as we've mentioned earlier, we'll see which lap times they pull out.
Quickly on Mike Cowley, he's been improving each week. 31st as far as qualifying at Kalami, then 12th at Snetterton, 16th at Paul Ricard. So getting faster is Mike Cowley and really getting a hold of his Ferrari 296. But Golds, now on track. Let's see what they got.
I believe they're led by the 313 of David Herrera out first, who had a bit of a poor start. Paul Ricard last week just got closed off a little bit, but was giving it their best shot. And we'll see how things go from here.
It was by Don Queen, and they didn't have had some kind words for each other in the race chat this week. It was fun to watch. A little rivalry between them two.
The heat is high.
Well, high heat on a very warm track. I suppose you couldn't really ask for a more perfect story in that regard.
Exactly.
But I mean, there are just simply a lot of drivers. We talk about it, and I feel like I sound like a broken record when I say, oh, there's a lot of stories around this driver. And I say it many, many times throughout a broadcast, but it's just a true story. I mean, there are so many drivers who could hypothetically take a win on any given week. I mean, we talk about David Herrera, you talk about Thomas Greer, who managed to pull it off at Kyalami somehow, McCulloch, who's got really good pace, Demler, who's got fairly good pace, Spiker, who's got very good pace, but they all seem to have this one or two instances where they might get into a little bit of trouble on track. Don Queen, Kent Van Sickle, I mean, Tyler Thompson, all very, very talented on track, but you know, if you get into a little bit of door banging, and then the door banging turns into a little bit more than just that, then problems can ensue. So
yeah, I mean, the case, to your point, Andrew, the case for Herrera right here, he finished Kyalami in 2nd place, and then Snetterton 35th and Paul Ricard 33rd. So no one's lost more positions in race than David Herrera. It just hasn't worked out. He got smashed by Don Queen last week. I think there's a fuel issue the week before. So, you know, if he can nail out those things, you're right. He has still a chance in this championship.
time starting to get put on the table here. I see Austin Red, a solid 137.5 to start. We'll be looking to improve. Kind of sniping that gap there in that 7th to 15th range are most of the gold drivers right about now. Donovan Colton looks like they just put down a good lap, and that's up into P6 for Colton. So we'll have to wait and see what the improvements come and how much of an improvement they are. We're on board right now with Stefan Buckley in the GTR car that was just tearing it up down the very, very straight track of Paul Ricard last week. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts though, just briefly. You know, just take a brief inventory real quick. What you expect in terms of strength and which vehicles we would want to watch out for specifically on this track. I know the Porsche is actually going to eat through the rear tires. I mean, the rear left's going to be lighting up the entire race for everybody.
Oh yeah, and with that unfortunate, as a Porsche driver, unfortunate plus 10 kgs, the poor Porsche will be slowed down a little bit with that additional weight, but overall it shouldn't be too bad. But I'd say probably the McLaren may have an advantage here, but who knows? Who knows? As we've said earlier, that literally anybody could actually win on this. Also, considering going back to the track conditions, like it first come first serve could be anybody.
I think we take a look at Herrera improving up 2/10, and this would put him close to a 36.
Keep it on with Red as well, and yeah, I mean Herrera, big improvement. Grush also improving as well. Something to keep an eye on.
Herrera in your picture-in-picture, Red in the pink Lamborghini. He's in your main screen feed.
It does seem as though I'm having a couple of connection issues on my side, so bear with us on that. Seems like my ISP decided that it's going to be a little bit temperamental today, but that should thankfully not really cause any significant issues here, at least for qualifying. And keeping on board the deltas here, Josh Grush is up about 2.5 tenths, roughly halfway through their lap. Herrera still in that PIP, looks like he's doing very solid as well. I'm not necessarily, I don't know. Oh, Herrera, what's happened?
Oh,
He bailed on that.
Did he bail out?
oh,
Yeah, he bailed on that. I moved over to Vitae in picture-in-picture in his Sky McLaren. And he was fast last week at Paul Ricard. I think he was in the second row. Made moves early, or in the third row, made moves early, got up to the top 3. I don't recall exactly what happened to him at Paul Ricard, but I do remember him having maybe a spin early. But he had pace last week, and what does he have here coming out of the last turn? It's Vitae. This is definitely an improvement for him. Where is it going to put him?
Ooh, nice up into P7. That should stand against, yeah, what Austin Red is able to put down as well. I'm on board now. Donovan Colton. I see Tyrell Foster in the background with a not insignificant improvement. Looks like it's going to be a high 37 for him if he stays on that pace. I believe he's just behind the car on your screen right now. You just saw him enter the banking right there. And Tyrell Foster will have a not insignificant improvement up into 14th position as well. So it's been a solid qualifying so far. Josh Grush continues to try to move up the field here and take that pole position away from Dan Rufus, who must have stolen it when we weren't looking, because I don't remember that time. I don't remember a 36.5 being put down. When did that happen?
Yeah, he sniped that on in the last lap, I believe, right around that 10-minute cutoff. Because you're right, we were switching to golds when he ran that time, so he must have snuck that one past us.
yeah, and he's in a Porsche, so we're making that POP be wrong right there.
Whatever he had for breakfast, Dan Rufus clearly worked. I mean, this is by
yeah.
far the best performance he's had for any cube. The closest he's been is 13th, and that was Kyle Lamy. He had 20th and 19th, so from 13th to 1st.
Oof,
And I'll have
crazy.
some of that.
Oh yeah, whoever put something in his coffee is certainly something special, because he's just a 10th away from D2 time. So keep that in mind. That is crazy time.
Yeah,
Picture-in-picture is going to be on Thompson. This is good.
It was Grush just a moment ago who was barely not able to get up and take that pole position away. Ren Aoki with a very solid time. That one slipped under the radar. 136.7. This is Colton on the main screen with about a 2.5-second improvement. Or excuse, not 2.5 seconds, 2.5 tenths improvement. That would be one of the stories of all time. Up into position 6. So this has been a solid qualifying so far for the Golds. And you better be on your final lap now, or it's going to be your last. Before too long. I see many cars in the pit lane. They are going to be done with their qualifying for sure. I see the 126 in the background. That's Craig Marr, who doesn't have an amazing improvement on the table right now, but will most likely get one more qualifying lap in So we'll keep an eye on that, but I think for the remainder of the field, they might be done. I see the 351 is kind of leading the way. How far are they into their lap? As Josh Grush, 1:06. Yeah, I think they'll have enough time for one more go around, actually. So it might be a bit of a cutoff right around here where we're on board with Austin Red.
Yeah, Austin Red should make it. That's going to be really, really close. It's usually a sector 3 time. It's going to be about 37, 38 seconds. He should do it.
It's got what looks to be an improvement here, trying to be as early on the power as possibly can without getting that wheel spin. Maybe got a little bit late on that exit, but it'll be a nice improvement for Austin Red. I mean, there's so many 136.9s on the table. That's going to be a couple of positions, and it's going to be up into P4. Solid lap, just shy of the podium positions to start, and Josh Grush also up on his time through turns 1 and 2. Looks like he lost a lot of that delta, but his car's come across the line. The 387, I believe, was the last one to get out onto an extra qualifying lap. So that will just about round it out. Keep an eye on
Herrera?
Herrera. I'll get on board with Craig Marr as well as he's coming down towards the line here before too long. Keep an eye on Herrera, though.
Yeah, Herrera picture in picture. He is improving. Looks to be about 3/10. He's going to need this, too. For the pace he's shown.
But can he get him back? Yeah.
No improvement from Marr. Herrera is one of the last ones on track now, along with Grush. About 3/10. Grush is still really trying for that pole time. He's about a 10th down right now, though. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find it. But Herrera has a lot left here in the tank, and it's looking like it's going to be a good couple of positions moved up here, especially if you can find some time through T-Last. 4/10 now, and you can see that that is not going to be a huge gap to the cars in front. It's going to be a big move up into P10. Positions gained. Josh Grush retires out. That's the end of the session.
I mean, I didn't see Dan Rufus coming. A 36.5, and
That's crazy.
And not even close as far as his performance is coming in. So this is clearly something he feels strongly in. He likes his Porsche here at Indy.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I feel like it's gonna be a solid one. Again, talking a little bit to man, this the connection is just giving me a bit of a hard time here. I gotta be honest. This is really gonna put a damper on things, isn't it? Ah well.
Well, quick note: if you did join us late, Greer, race winner at Kyalami, has a qualifying ban, so he's going to start at the back of the race. And Thomas Ma, a recently promoted D6 driver into our Division 5, he's got a pit lane start, so he's joining D5 with some penalties. So we didn't see either of those drivers in that session, but they both have race-winning pedigree, so look for them to move up this field. And we do have a pit stop required today. Got to take tires again. So while Andrew works on tech, as far as, I'm no strategist, but it's a long pit lane start. Okay, right? It's, I don't know exactly how long, maybe 50 seconds or so from end to end. And then you have to take tires. That's 30 seconds. You add that up. If you pit early, you are coming out in traffic. So if tomorrow, I do not plan on pitting early. In fact, I want to stay out late. Even if I'm in traffic, I do not want to end up in a blue flag situation. So if we see drivers pitting early, it's going to get a little complicated here, figuring out which drivers are on lead lap and not. I just see that happening here at Indy. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds to get around, right? And it's 1 minute and 30 in pits end to end with tires. So it will get a little confusing throughout this race, but we'll try and make sense of it as best we can, guys.
Just getting a little bit of a look here at the grid yet again. Very, very good looking. Still, well, some of the liveries continue to elude me somehow, but we can see all the way in the back of the grid here. It's Thomas Greer and Thomas Ma, right side by side. Both drivers that we know have good potential pace, but alas, here they are in the back of the field, and Tyrell Foster does dip out into the pits off of the grid, starting from the pit lane. So it's going to be an interesting one in that regard. As, oh boy, the drivers take off with my camera in tow. They got underway here with the formation lap for Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The track, oh, it's so much cooler now. I have to say, it's going to feel like such a blessing, honestly. Starting out with race fuel, sure, you might not be so fast down the straights. You might not be as maneuverable through the S's. But oh my goodness, if it won't feel amazing in the traction zones to have -5 degrees Celsius and a full fuel load in the back of the car to keep those rear tires planted to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. For sure about that, because one thing with Indy, it's quite bumpy in certain areas, and it's not the most grippiest of tracks, let me just say. So it's definitely a blessing in that regard that it starts off as optimum and everyone's at race fuel and going to get new tires.
Oh, that pit, oh my goodness, that pit lane is so long though, Tyrell Foster. I feel for them just looking at this right now. Look at how far down pit road it's going to be for Tyrell Foster. If I get a look at this, you got to go all the way down that pit lane right there to get out onto the racing surface. You're practically going to be a lap down by the time you even get to the limiter, the end of the pit lane, the pit exit.
That is heartbreaking. It's one long pit lane.
Oh man. Oh man. This could all be averted, of course, if you started at the front of the pit lane, but no. No, not even at the start-finish line is the 998. If Tyrell Foster is able to move up into the top 16 or so, it will be a miracle drive. Just to say.
I'm not going to count him out. Fastest lap at Snetterton, third fastest lap at Paul Ricard. I mean, the other two were Big Daddy and Tibbetts, who moved on to D4. So of the drivers that are still here in D5, I think raw pace, he might be him, maybe him or Red or Herrera, what I would say, have the fastest outright pace.
Yeah. Stories of track is, of course, every single driver in the top 10. I would list them all off by name, but realistically, it is every single one. Specifically, though, Roger Rodriguez and Ren Aoki, I want to give shout-outs for a fantastic qualifying. These are a couple that we have not really had the privilege of seeing in these top positions. So they're hoping for a good jump and a good position for them at the end of the race. James Spiker a little bit further down the field in 13th place on the grid. So it's going to be an interesting start for them. We're on board with Dan Rufus as the lights prepare to go green here towards the start-finish line, and we are underway. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it is going to be Dan Rufus on the inside. Didn't quite get the jump that they want. It's Josh Grush threatening from the outside in towards turn 1. Who will have the lead for lap 1? Austin Red also around the outside of the car next to them. It's Ren Aoki, a little bit of contact to the back, and Dan Rufus, the pole sitter, has been turned around on pit exit. The rejoin is not good. Contact again, and more cars involved. A huge pileup, and if anybody's going to love that one, it's Tyrell Foster and Josh Grush.
Oh no, not an ideal start to a race at T1, but Indy is quite notorious for that, as we've seen in Season 8 and Season 5, where drivers are having a little bit of an argy-bargy moment and things go sideways.
That turned into a parking lot. If I had to point blame, I think it might have been Rodriguez, the 305, the pink and white Mercedes. He was the one to hit Aoki, who Aoki hit Rufus.
Well, chaos at the start. Through the S's now, though. And there's going to be a lot, like I mentioned, it's that turn 11 right there. Watch out for that apex on the inside, because you're going to want to take as much of it as you possibly can to try to gain lap time, but it could cause problems for Ian Demler in 8th position right now. And, oh, I just had a bit of a spike there. I see Denver's another yellow. They're all the way down in 31st position. That is about the worst lap one you could possibly ask for.
And that's why we have a long pin window. But oh man, that's really heartbreaking. Putting the car on pole position and then next thing you know, you get completely taken out on turn 1, lap 1. Ah.
Watch for Ma here. Wait, whoa, sorry. This is Thomas Ma starting in the back of the field with the qualifying ban. Now about to get around James Spiker on the inside. Oh, space is afforded. And Spiker's still going to keep trying to fight for this one, but the 141 has already had a mighty drive. If you just stop right here, this Audi has moved up, what, some 16 plus positions? And oh no! Thomas Ma has gone around! That's just as I say it. Thomas Ma into the barrier, off on the grass. And oh boy, I really should not have said anything, should I?
Commentator's curse, at it again.
Oh no, what happened?
Picture's going to have Ma. Picture will have it. That looks like Spiker, maybe?
It looks like a little bit of lag, honestly, for Ma. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle on the Audi. It can be a very temperamental car. You hear people talk about it. And it got sideways on him. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Well, hopefully for a couple of drivers think, oh no!
No!
Colton.
Oh! Donovan Colton hit in the back there. That was Mike Cowley. And Colton even got a little bit of a revenge tap, but Cowley carried on. And now it's going to be Spiker on the outside. Spiker, who's dropped 2 positions this race, but has been fighting for them. I think Spiker's philosophy so far has been don't get into an incident. Even if it costs you a couple positions in the opening laps, if you're not getting hit, you're going to be in a good spot. And Stefan Buckley's moving up behind as well. That's Steven Music trying it on the outside of turn 1 by the looks of things. Got to leave the space, and the 465, or excuse me, the 466 will stay in this fight. Fonts are difficult to read.
Looks like Spiker just ended up overtaking Donovan Colton. Beautifully done, side by side, and Spiker just takes that opportunity to overtake on Colton. And actually, as I say that, we just went off.
That was Matthew Eriquez.
Oh.
See if you can get that one back. I think there might have been contact in the back, and oh no.
Cowley, I don't know what happened, but I just went over to him, and he's just parked right onto the back of the straight. Oh, many moments. Many moments of disaster.
Yeah. That's a bad 2 laps for Cowley. Spins, goes into the wall on his own. In the previous lap before, he's the one who hit Colton.
Yeah. Really no getting around that. I see a yellow flag. It's McCullough, who's completely the wrong way on track for Fear Nothing Moto. Oh no. Driver we talked about had potential to be very strong, and oh goodness. Oh, that's about rough. Oh, he's hit again. Oh, McCullough. You could not ask for a more nightmarish series of events. I don't know what happened to him earlier. It looked like was that a spin on his own and then got hit from behind.
Yeah, spin in T1. Started it all. Gets back on track. And it gets worse from there.
Speaking of starting, we literally just started the race and so much action has unfolded.
Yeah, we could end it right now and call it a week. That's enough of action. Oh no, I saw a yellow from Matthew Eriquez. He's still pointed the right way on the track though.
Oh.
We'll get back on. James Spiker has been in many fights so far today, and is going well wide there in towards the hairpin. That's going to be a little bit of a Tokyo drift, but somehow the 55 is on track without contacting. That was Craig Marr, who probably had to wisen up a little bit to that one. So this has been just a phenomenally interesting race for, well, most of the wrong reasons, but I suppose you can't have a good motor race without an incident here and again.
Yep.
Certainly not the way that we would have wanted it.
Well, you know how the saying goes in great motorsport fashion. Yellows bring yellows. And sure enough, that's what it seems like. Even though there's no safety car, but in this sense, in Assetto Corsa Competizione, it's seeming to be that way so far.
Josh Grush certainly quite pleased with how things have turned out. He's in the lead. The gap behind, roughly 1.5 seconds. And then Rene Oki in third. Tyler Thompson up in fourth as well. So it looks like we may yet have a fight for some of the podium positions. I've just seen Christian Morris got past Raf Cab on the main straight. And it seems like Raf Cab got past Christian Morris. There was quite the speed differential there. Which surprises me. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin out of T last, and now Christian Morris is instantly under attack from David Herrera behind, who is, as we mentioned, a driver who has a lot to prove this season. It'll be the 313 up the inside, taking a lot of that inside curb on the follow-up corner. I wonder if maybe Christian Morris has damage. Another car comes up the inside. That's Donovan Colton making a move. Christian Morris is tumbling down the order.
He might have a penalty coming his way too for contact during qualifying. So
I completely forgot about that. Yeah. With DZ right now, instantly up behind Music ahead, looking towards the inside. It's McLaren and Ferrari, and just sticking on the outside. Music, nice little play there. And I'll have that lead.
Very close right there.
And keep it on through the S's.
yeah, DC, one of those drivers, been promoted from D6 to D5. He was pole, fastest lap, and a win at Kailami. Perfect weekend for him. And then a second place at Snetterton with another fastest lap and a front row start. So you can see why he got the promotion here. Finds himself mid-pack in his 296. We'll see what he can deliver. That's at DZ in the 363 red and blue Ferrari.
BT on the main straight. That's Brett Vaughn just ahead. Late on the brakes. That's a big send. Looking for the switchback now is Brett Vaughn towards the outside. Almost parking on the apex. And oh, that was a bit of a wiggle as well. But they will both make it through. Or will they? Vitia hitting the back, and Brett Vaughn's gone around. He's off circuit. It looks like he's able to keep the car pointed in the correct direction, but that is not the outcome you were hoping for. Well,
Raf Cab coming back the inside of Vaughn, but still behind. Oh! Tyler Thompson just spinning out at the S's.
Tyler Thompson yellow.
Big moment.
Yep.
Big
Look to
moment
get that.
from him.
Oh, the car in front just went for a bit of a Tokyo drift. Vitia, who we were just talking about. He keeps it pointed forward as well. We'll see this one back. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Big spin there for Thompson.
That's where those curbs kind of really can send you a car, especially with a mid-engine.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's quite the curves through the S's. Very tricky to master, that's for sure. Especially that quick right-hander after that. As we mentioned before, with those track limits, you got to cut it as much as you can, but not too much, or else that will equal as a warning.
This is DZ up the inside of Steven Music. In towards turn one. Looks like that's going to be a relatively cut and dry pass, which is something we have been sorely lacking so far this race. Our cut and dry passes. That also allows Stefan Buckley to close up behind the 466. Now looking maybe towards the inside with the GTR. But they're going to have to wisen up to that one and stay on behind for now. I see a yellow further back the field. I saw Christian Morris was in the pits. Mertson, who has very much struggled to get control of the Porsche over the course of this season. He's gone round at exit turn one. We're talking about the cars coming through here as we're on board with Stefan Buckley now. The GTR specifically, strong in a straight line. It doesn't really feel like we've seen it able to stretch its legs though. I mean, there have been one or two instances where the 173 has had that power and the speed differential in the straight, but nothing that's really struck me as particularly significant, especially, I mean, the middle straight, it surely isn't long enough to top out your speed. The pit straight is quite lengthy, but it's not quite there in terms of ability to get your car revving out in 6th gear.
A highlight for the GTR has been Aoki, and that was today, qualifying 3rd. I think we got to move Vaughn on Thompson.
Sure, an attempt, but it looked like the 387 was a little bit cautious on the brakes there. Maybe a switchback though. In through turns 2 and 3. But has better entry.
Inside. Yep. Oh, it's really good entry. Slots right in. Oh, yep.
I've seen JP May just had a yellow behind it. I saw this one coming for a little bit. Rathcab has been spun around.
Oh.
They were trying to go what looked to be like a 3 wide, and oh my goodness, someone just joined them. That's Stephen Music and Stefan Buckley, both of them. And now one of the Eriquez, Matthew Eriquez, has been spun around too. This has turned into a big incident.
What? Wow.
That was Colton. Tried to make a move. No space there. He hits Cab. Thank goodness Herrera got through. Didn't want another week of that chat.
Oh, Rathcab a little bit wide there. That's going to allow the Bentley of JP May through. JP May, who did have a bit of a yellow not so long ago. Tyrell Foster makes their way through. This is a racer that had some clean passes at Paul Ricard last week on the back straight, so nice to see that they're continuing their winning ways on that front, especially considering, again, pit start throw by the P24 from a pit lane start. This race of 33 drivers that are currently out on the grid, I don't even know if I have to say any more about that. This is Herrera trying for a move on Thompson down the main straight. Seriously.
It's a bit early, but no move done there out of Herrera. It's just a matter of time.
He's got to have patience. He's got to have patience, is Herrera.
Oh yeah, patience is key. That's for sure. He
That's
is
on?
about a second quicker on the previous lap.
Well, considering the previous lap had some incidents, kind of difficult to say if they had much of an impact on the race. The field is not exactly so spread out as I would say to be causing the blue flag incidents, causing some trouble. Actually, Aoki is closed up on the back of Austin Red. It's not terribly frequently that you see the top 3 start to get into a bit of a scrap at this point during the race. I wonder if maybe there was a moment for Austin Red. I'm looking at the last lap times, and Aoki was 1.2 roughly seconds faster than Red on the last lap, so this is for position 2.
This is clearly the best we've seen of Ren Aoki so far this season. He had finishes at Snetterton at 9th, Ricard 13th, did not race at Kyalami, so we might see a move here, and he's not done. He wants to.
Oh, but you didn't even pull out. I think they lifted before the braking zone even came up. Maybe trying to get a little bit of it next lap. That was a lot of the curb on the inside, though, and they're going to have to back off on this one for now. It did seem like Aoki was kind of content to sit behind the Lamborghini there. I mean, the Lamborghini is strong on the brakes, in fairness, but you got the straight line speed. That's where your car does the majority of its overtaking. That's off the inside of Connor Farrell. Should be relatively cut and dry here. Down in turn 1. And again, I mentioned that cut and dry seems like a phrase that we're going to have to use fairly sparingly throughout this race. Rathcab has gone off circuit again. And I don't know, that doesn't look like a very natural space to lose grip, but may have gotten a bit aggressive on the power, maybe hit a little bit of the inside curb and got out of shape. Oh no, I see. Okay, yeah, that's a turn 1 incident. That's not a turn 2 incident or a turn 3 incident. Ooh.
Oh, and then it got worse.
Did Rathcab get hit there after the rejoin?
No, I think he made contact on a rejoin. Yeah, that looked like it on him.
Here's Aoki for round 2.
Oh, looks like Callie's going to make a move on Kevin Unda, but actually loses about 2 positions. Oh no! Tyrell Foster and Mike Cowley. Oh, collected each other.
Oh, we're gonna have to get that one back. Tyrell Foster, give it 30. Give it 30 for us this time. And let's see if we can get Tyrell Foster back in the PIP, because I need to see that. This is a driver who's been consistent and talented. Has Tyrell. Oh, that was a nice little capitalization on that one, but then yeah, the contact is made.
Yeah.
I think that's that might have been a space leaving kind of problem. I'm on board now, Stefan Buckley. It's the GTR again in the straight up behind the Aston. It's got some decent straight line speed, and Buckley does think better of it.
Of note, Aoki has gotten around Austin Red for 2nd place.
Ooh.
So it's Rush now, Aoki in the GTR, and Austin Red in his 728 Lamborghini. So a move made by Ren Aoki.
Very nice indeed. I mean, P2B, a solid finish. Look at the last lap times. It does look like ultimate pace. 137.1 for Josh Grush. That's the purple lap so far, and a 137.5 for Ren Aoki. Last lap, though, it was 5/10, 138.1 versus a 138.6. We'll also see how pit strategy plays into it as well. I see one of the Eriquez in the pit. I believe that's Matthew Eriquez, who is in the pit right now. Have been for some time, if memory serves. Let me check the stats. Yeah, pit stop right now so far just over 2 minutes, and I think he just dipped out of the race. In fact, disconnected. I guess you know, incidents, they can be quite frustrating, and when you get put down to the back of the grid, sometimes it's
Yeah.
Aoki's gapping Red too. That gap's grown. It's now 1.6 seconds from Ren Aoki to Red. And you mentioned it earlier. How fast and how important is it to draft and get in the draft? Ren Aoki in the speed trap, 265 kilometers an hour. Oh, was this almost he almost lost it. That was Aoki in picture, but 265 on the speed trap. That is 8 kilometers an hour faster than Austin Red in his Lamborghini.
Wow.
jeez.
You can see why he lifted.
Oh yeah.
A few times before making that move. Look at that rear end on the picture-in-picture. Watch this car.
Wonder
Boy, there's a lot of oversteer in that car.
Maybe Aoki opted for a low wing setup on this one, just trying to tear people up down the straight. And I mean, in fairness,
You might be onto something. He might have.
hey, they are indeed tearing people up on the straight. You can't deny that. Last lap for Aoki at 137.6 versus Josh Grush, 137.6. There's a couple of more digits in there that you might want to pay attention to, but the fact of the matter is Aoki is starting to close that pace gap at the very least. It's a little bit of a train here that I'm on board with. Still, it's Donovan Colton in front of Brett Vaughn on this one. Colton had a fairly good race at Paul Ricard last week, but has been involved, I won't necessarily say responsible for, but involved at least in some incidents so far today.
Colton the rookie. Well, he had Grams tuning in last week. Colton's grandmother tuned into the stream, so if you're Grams, you're out there. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
Colton the rookie, though, remember, right?
Watch out!
Whoa.
That's Herrera.
Oh, wow.
Get Herrera back on that one. We need to know what happened there. But Brett Vaughn, you can clearly see, couldn't really go on the outside. Oh, no! What's happened there? I don't even know.
Contact with McCullough and Herrera.
Pictures on Herrera. It looks like Thompson in front of him.
Oh.
Coming into turn one. That's a move on Herrera. That's a bold move.
Oh, yeah. That seems... We'll let the stewards decide on that one. McCullough almost made some contact again after regaining control with Thomas Ma. I don't know what there is to say about it, but David Herrera, that hurts. That hurts a lot. That might have been over-aggressive. I don't know. It was kind of difficult to see. But now you just got to get your head down and continue on with the race. You're still in 12th position, and you still have good pace. compared to some of the cars in front of you. So, I mean, this could still easily go your way, especially with an undercut strategy. We're about at that point in the race where some drivers may consider dipping out into the long trudge of a pit lane here on Indianapolis.
Yeah, Vaughn was in that yellow and white and black Porsche. He had to just slam on the brakes, nowhere to go. Yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. I didn't necessarily like that move from Herrera. We said earlier, a little patience. We know he's got pace. You got to pick your spots at Indy. They're there.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of there, we just almost caught Kevin Under going deep against Stephen Music in front.
I'm just going to make a note here. We'll come back to this. Aoki, the gap between Grush, our leader, and Aoki is 6.3 seconds. So just something to watch. We'll come back to that gap later on in this race.
This is the power differential, the Aston Martin versus the McLaren, plus a little bit of the slipstream. Stephen Music's still going to try this one along the outside, and
goes
Stephen Music
real wide into the grass.
Hey, I appreciate the idea. He's able to rejoin safely, but that's still going to be a couple of positions lost no matter.
Picture-in-Picture is going to have this move again. I like Unda what he did here, right? He's not on the racing line, but he's putting his car in a place where maybe Herrera could have done something better, right? Just get your car in an awkward space for the other driver. He cut off his angle. There was no contact made. That's a good move, good clean move by Unda.
Well, then take the space that's granted to you on the outside when you see that the race car that you were trying to fight against has maybe gone a little bit deep. Suddenly, that frees you up to go and take as much space as you want on the outside of the circuit. So it does look like Rene Aoki had a screamer of a lap before this one. It was a 137.9, but 138.6 on the last one. I think it's just that GTR is starting to get a little bit away from them. Josh Grush, though, continues to put in amazing laps right now. 137.6, leading out in front by about 8 seconds now. And so it does look like it may have been a combination of Aoki having a bit of a poor lap and Grush having a strong lap. And it seems like that may be the end of the story here for Grush. But you got to keep it under control with the temperatures being the way that they are. Actually, it's decreasing in temperature a little bit. 31 degrees centigrade is down 1 from where we started this session. But you do have to be careful. Can't play with the grip too much, otherwise it's going to bite you.
Picture-in-picture is going to be on Rodriguez. He's in the 305 AMG. That pink car just in front. That's Austin Red for third place. Gap, just 1 second.
Red having a bit of a struggle that I wasn't really anticipating. But I don't know. There's not really much more to say about it. I wouldn't expect Red to have much in the way of a struggle here, especially given their qualifying. They had reasonably good pace. Talking about stories, though, I'm looking down the list right now. Who I'm on board with right now, actually, Craig Marr up 11 positions, 17 for Thomas Maw, regardless of the scenario that they found themselves in earlier on. And Raquel Vitia in 6th position right now, up 8 from race start. They haven't really had amazing stories happening for them so far this season. They're in the same boat as Ian Demler, who hasn't really had amazing stories happening so far for them this season, but he's up 4 positions in P5 right now.
This would be by far the best race result for Ian Demler. His best finish, 20th, and that was at Paul Ricard.
Oh, looks like DZ is going in for the overtake from Craig Marr and gets the job done. And now it looks like Marr has to deal with defending Herrera behind, and Herrera is actually getting a little bit on Marr, and he's got the pace. You just got to find the right moment to overtake Marr.
The right moment.
Yeah,
at the
just
right time.
way.
Definitely not
in the right way.
moment.
Exactly.
Yes. Word of the day is patience. We know this to be true.
Yep. Patience. And it's very huge to have in the world of motorsports, because you just cannot make a move where there's no gap at all and expect there to be a gap when there isn't. But that's racing. Things happen. People can overstep it.
Things happen. Steven Music has found that out the hard way. That's on the main straight, or sorry, the middle straight, not the main straight. And he's turned around the exact wrong direction on track. Steven Music, that's going to be, I wouldn't necessarily say a race ender, but surely a race harmer. And oh my goodness, you've got to be careful, sir. You have got to be careful with those rejoins. Almost took Mike Callie out of the race.
That's going to be the toughest corner on the track. That's turn number 7. There's just, you're struggling so much for grip, and you want to get on the gas because you're heading onto that back straight. There's just nothing there. Very, very easily done there by Music. I can see how it could happen. That's the toughest corner in the track.
Thomas Maas in the pits. As far as toughest corners go, I can't help but agree with you. I mean, you got to get the power down as early as you can. You're carrying a reasonable amount of speed. Your car under maximum load. And if you get a little bit too aggressive on that power, a little bit too early, it'll send you around. And not only do you lose a lot of time, if you if you manage to keep it pointing in the right direction, you'll lose a lot of time. But worst case scenario, you're in the barrier with a tough rejoin.
To Selena's point earlier, it's also the surface is not a high grip surface, right?
Yeah.
And it's also really hot.
Which is not the best combination at all.
Yeah, exactly. You put those two together, it's very easy for a car to be spinning around.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, and
That could be
speaking
Herrera.
of... Oh!
What's happened? I just switched off of Herrera's cam. What happened?
Yeah,
Didn't
he
lose-
missed on the
oh, and
S's
as I say
cut, and
that-
he just lost a spot. So nothing,
Yeah.
crisis averted. We'll get that in picture-in-picture.
Thanks for that. Let's take a look back here. Oh yeah, getting a little bit too much of that inside curb. That'll happen to you. Yeah, that's the trade-off. You know, you want to save time, you really do, but simultaneously, if you get a little bit too antsy, then things go wrong for you. Tyler Thompson in the pits now. Oh boy, JP Mays has gone deep. That's blue flag traffic immediately behind Dan Rufus, I believe that is. If I check my relative, indeed it is. And lots of cars actually pulling into the pits now. Aaron Kovac, oh no, he's the wrong way on the main straight. And not only that, but he's on the racing line too. He's got to get out of there. And indeed he does. The 185 here of Aaron Kovac. Oh no. I don't know how he came to be in that position where he was though. What?
That was picture-in-picture, had it. He touched the grass coming out of that final turn. And just spun the car around.
Oh, gap for Herrera.
Yep, Vaughn and Herrera having a bit of a
Side by side. Oh,
bit of a bout.
a little bit wide there. Vaughn gets to better have the exit. Still makes it stick. Oh! I'm going a little late on the brakes there. Nearly rear-ending Herrera. But all is well. All is well.
Herrera's been posturing pretty much every single time on the middle straight. He's been posturing towards the inside. But this Ferrari simply, we saw it at Paul Ricard, and it seems to be the same story again here. It's simply not that fast. In the straight, Aaron Kovac is around again. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
The tough corner we saw earlier on, one that we argued was the toughest on the circuit. I don't know if you want to try to get that one back for Aaron Kovac. Herrera pulls into the pit now.
As does Mar.
Pulling Mar. That out of the way.
Halfway through the
Here we go,
race.
DZ.
Oh,
This is
speaking of
DZ
out
on
of the
Spiker.
way.
Picture-in-picture. You got
Yeah.
there.
I got
That looked like a lift.
I mean, Spiker, again, if you're going for the strategy of getting as few incidents as is possible, I mean, just kind of let the move happen. Just take the race pace afterwards.
Yeah. Just under a half hour left, so there's still time.
I mean, not to mention as well, both of these drivers still need to pit, so if you decide, if you're pitting out, if you think that you're pitting out this lap, no need to fight that one into turn one. Just let the 363 go by, and then take the race pace through the remainder of the lap. You know, you'll lose a little bit of time on turn one, but it's no harm, no foul. You'll just pit in at the end. So we'll see if that is indeed the case for Spiker. But, oh my goodness, there's so many drivers who are pitting out right at this instant. I see Herrera, Unda, Buckley, Mar in the pits, Kovac, and Music. I know at least a couple of those are still repairing some damage from incidents earlier on. But right now, the closest gap that we got on track is right here on your main screen.
Onboard in picture, and on the bumper you see on your screen, that's Spiker trying to chase down DZ, and it's not happening. DZ looks fast right now. It's both Ferraris, though. Clearly a difference in tune and driving style.
Oh, DZ a little bit wide there on the exit of turn 13. Nothing significant. Spiker's going to continue to chase this one down, actually. And you can see that the gap went up to a little over a second and now down to within half a second on the main straight. Colton peeled into the pits, by the way. But James Spiker here for Cheese. Not Cheese Race Team, not Cheese Racing or Competizione, just Cheese. Chasing down DZ for P7. Cheese. I think Herrera is now on pit exit. Lost couple positions. That's McCullough right behind. McCullough, who has been a little bit impatient this race, and that's a deep send for McCullough. Herrera sees it coming, though, and is able to make the switch back there, and oh boy, he's not going to be happy about that one. We'll take the early braking on this corner, though, in before turn 7 onto the middle straight.
Oh no, McCullough.
Oh!
I just looked away to my timing screen. Ah.
He just... It looked like he just lost it.
Yeah, he just lost it.
Like, I didn't... Yeah. So I was looking at Herrera and just... Oh!
McCullough rejoined. Oh, that was... I thought that was Colton for a second. That was Thomas Mills getting caught up in that.
Yeah. Oh.
Gonna lose a position to Buckley as well. Plus, I mean, some damage more likely than not there for Thomas Mills. DZ pulls into the pit. That allows James Spiker to continue on with their race. Austin Red also in the pit lane right now. I see Mike Eriquez and Matt Mertson are both in pit lane at the moment. Brett Vaughn pulls in as well. McCullough's still yellow. Wait a minute, did McCullough not recover? Oh my! Oh,
he's still.
What just happened? What has happened?
What?
Aaron Kovac. I don't know if Aaron Kovac saw the rejoining 405 and overreacted, but he just took a hit and lost some race time. I mean, what is going on here? McCullough returns to the pits, and I don't know what's going on, but that is just.
Goodness gracious! Great balls of fire! What?
That looked like McCullough was trying to rejoin, spun around, and then a Kovac came out of nowhere, cut him off, and the two You can't make that up. I almost wish I didn't see that.
The stories every driver has here.
These are like, okay, well, these are like stories, but these are like German kids stories where it's like,
yeah,
and everybody died at the end. This is what this feels like. What is going on?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like.
I don't like this story.
Man.
I want to keep on track with the Ren Aoki chasing down Josh Grush, but that's not happening. The gap is still 10 seconds. Rodriguez actually pulls from the pits now. Oh, I see JP May's got a yell in the background. Please tell me this is only a minor incident. It does look like on the exit of the S's, that was turn 11 just behind towards the oval section. Please tell me nothing just bad has happened. Steven Music
sent it and didn't stop? Question mark? That looked really strange. Just really sent it.
That's music in the black and green McLaren.
Whoa!
That's a missed mark.
Yeah, must have missed the braking board.
Yeah, he really sent it there.
Hey, well, wasn't that bad considering?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much more of this race my heart can handle.
Yeah. Crazy.
Remember
remember
when I said earlier the phrase cut and dry move feels like it's going to be used sparingly tonight? I was really hoping that wouldn't be true. I really was. Why did I have to commentators curse Thomas Ma, who was moving like so far off the field, but I couldn't commentators curse the absolute carnage that's happening on the track today?
Picture in picture is going to be on Austin Red. He's coming down pit, the start-finish straight. And where's he going to come out? He's got some drivers and Rodriguez and Demler in the pits. Those are easy passes to be made.
It looks like there wasn't much in
there
it.
in your picture. Yeah. So Grush, Aoki, Vitae, which does he need to pit?
Uh-oh. Oh, Connor Farrell with a yellow flag out of the X's. That's turn 11. Exit turn 11. He spun around and in the barrier. That's the A3 McLaren.
Oh, hate to see it.
I didn't even intend for it to be as such, but you can kind of hear the depression in my voice a little bit. Just saying that. Josh Grush is in the pits.
Yeah.
Hopefully that not hopefully for his scenario. He would be more than happy, I would suppose. I would really hope he'd be happy to walk away with a P1 finish here. Rene Aoki is also in the pits right now, though. I wonder if this is a 1-to-1 pit stop. Did Rene Aoki come in on the same lap as Grush? I believe that may have been the case.
Yes, they did. So Vitae, your race leader, has not pit, indicated by that orange marker top of your board.
Grush's time stopped on the pits was 5 seconds more than Aoki. They're both rolling right now, one immediately after the other. Rene Aoki is going to have a much lower gap. What happened for Grush? It was like a 10-second gap on track. I don't even know. Watch where they come out.
Mysteries.
Looks like there's no traffic. I was keeping my eye on the left-hand side of my main screen right now to make sure there are no drive-thrus that get applied in. It's a 2.3-second gap immediately out of the pits between Grush and Aoki. Vitae has the lead in front, but it is they do still have to make their pit stop. With Red only 3.9 seconds behind, both of the provisional P2 and P3 cars are back in this race for the lead.
Yeah, Grush, I mean, he was invincible up until his pit stop. That's the slowest pit of the top 10 drivers was Jonathan Grush. So that gap that he built, and he's lost it. It was, like to your point, 10 seconds down to 2.2. Can Rene Aoki, now that he's got sight seen on Jonathan Grush, right? It's different when you see the driver in front of you. You can chase them.
Oh, who was that? I saw Brett Vaughn with the yellow flag. There was a car. There was RAF Cab, blue flag traffic for Brett Vaughn. There was an incident there. And RAF Cab got turned around. RAF Cab, who I really hate having to use this phrase, but has had a mare of a race. I say that so many times. So many times in Division 5.
Unfortunately. Speaking of unfortunate, Kevin Unda and Herrera had a little bit of a moment at T1. Looks like Kevin pulled back out of that to give the position back to Herrera. A little bit of an argy-bargy moment. Can't say that's uncommon in Division 5.
I've got Nielsen and Greer. Like for like on this one, both having made their pit stop, so mostly on fresh rubber here. Christian Morris has spun in the background, completely around exit, or really entry turn 4. I won't claim to know exactly how that's happened. Stefan Buckley up behind Dan Rufus, the pole sitter Dan Rufus, who is down 19 positions in P20 after getting punted at turn 1 on lap 1. I don't know if there's much more I have to really say about that. Just a horrendous occasion. Kevin Unda in the Aston Martin here up behind David Herrera. David Herrera, who's taking a very defensive shape down the main straight, I might add, before turning to the racing line. But you can see Kevin Unda wants that. Tyrell Foster, who's made a lot of cut and dry passes. Please be the harbinger for the remainder of the race. He's well inside on the attacking line here. And Tyrell Foster has this one nice and cleanly in towards the braking zone. It's a miracle. It's a miracle on ice, and by ice I mean 30-degree track temperature, which actually is kind of nice. Stefan Buckley making the move here against Dan Rufus. Switchback is there, though, at the outside for turn number 2, and won't be able to make it stick.
Picture in picture, that's your leader coming down the start-finish straight. Jonathan Grush. Behind him in the GTR, Aoki. Gap 2.2 seconds, and that stayed that way this last lap. Their first flyers after coming out of the pits, just a tenth between them. Grush is just slightly faster, though.
As much as I'd like to see a story evolve with the lead race, I kind of feel like I just want them to keep it clean more than anything. I mean, it feels like in a race where there have been so many incidents at this point, I just kind of want the leaders to stay away from any traffic that they possibly can and to keep it clean. Kevin Unda is holding David Herrera honest here over the course of the last couple of laps. The pass was made a while ago by Herrera, but Unda in that Aston, very, very strong. If I take a look at the speed trap, and oh my goodness, Unda is 8 kilometers an hour faster than Herrera in the speed trap, and I think Herrera knows it. He's pulled over immediately on this defensive line. Missed apex there for the 313. Herrera's got to keep it careful. You can't really hunt down Thomas Ma in front with a 6-second gap without...
Oh, Aoki.
Ooh.
No.
There's an off.
Say it ain't so. Oh. Well, if it was an off, it didn't seem that terrible for them, but yeah, that's going to have a significant impact on their lap time.
It's cost him 3 seconds. We're going to see it. I think it's right here.
Ah. Oh, that spin to the GTR.
That cost him 3 seconds. Gap was just under 2.
Kovac had another yellow. In 30th right now. McCullough is in the pits.
Oh, Dan Rufus having a little moment. Giving that position to Stephen Buckley. Or Stefan Buckley, I think.
Indeed.
I should say.
Things are starting to get relaxed here. I think all of the mandatory pit stops have been taken, and I just really kind of want to ride this one out to the end. I really do. I think that we've had enough incidents for one day.
Yeah, hard to keep up with them too. One incident to the other.
Oh, I thought Kevin Unda was going to hit the wall there for a second.
As soon as you were saying that.
Oh, goodness. It's Timothy Nielsen behind Greer. Matching each other in the speed trap, so Nielsen most likely getting a bit of that slipstream behind the Bentley, which I believe is the more powerful of the two cars. At least for this circuit. I do not know what to think about this race. We had the no qualifier, Thomas Greer, currently in 23rd right now. The no qualifier, Thomas Ma, in 13th position, and having taken their mandatory pit stop, so that is roughly where they'll end if they can hold their pace where it is, although I see Herrera is starting to close up behind. Still for Thomas Ma, mega drive. I said it at the start of the race, what a mega drive. The 998 as well, Tyrell Foster, 16th position from a pit start. Out of, I think, 33, 34 odd cars that started this race.
Crazy.
I do believe, and I could be wrong, we'll have to check this, but Thomas Ma did not qualify because of penalties at Paul Ricard, right? Which would make sense. I think he got 2 more penalty points and in that race. So he started in the back of the pits at Paul Ricard, and he managed to get 5th in D6 last week. So he's done this before. Clearly there's experience there.
Nice little defensive shape there from Mike Eriquez in front. That's the McLaren. Just ahead of Stefan Buckley. Looks like Connor Farrell made a little bit of a wide moment. Christian Morris and Mert Mertson having a bit of a go at it on the middle straight. Morris, who was just overtaken by Jerome Maya a little bit ago. Did Mertson come out of the pits just recently, or I didn't see where that came from? One way or the other.
Note on your leaders, Grush, Aoki, Red, Rodriguez. That gap was down to 2 seconds. It has grown. Aoki, little 2 minor errors. It's grown to 5 seconds. Red, is he any closer? Not really. Gap from Aoki to Red, 4 seconds. So the gap between those 3 drivers, pretty spread right now.
Looking backwards on the 2-second gap roughly between Colton and Thompson, who has teammate James Spiker behind them by a little ways. It does seem like blue flag traffic is starting to become a story. You can see the map on the right-hand side of the main screen, and yeah, there's a lot of drivers all over the field right about now. Just kind of waiting to see how developments go with that. David Herrera, though, I'm watching out for to close the gap to Thomas Ma in front. He did have an invalid lap on the last tour of the circuit, a 137.5. It was for Herrera versus Thomas Ma, who just did a 138 flat in front. We'll see what the timing table updates with right now. It's a 138.3 for Herrera. Still kind of thinking about Kevin Unda behind.
Unda currently in 15th. This would be his best finish of the season if he can manage this race.
Well,
That Herrera?
Yeah, he's gotten past Herrera, who just went wide at turn 1.
Howley making 2 positions from Nielsen and Thomas Greer.
I see.
Herrera, PIP.
I see. Yep. Well, that one seems cut and dry, but not in the way that I've been hoping for the majority of the race. Bit of a train forming here in the midfield, though. It's JP May leading Connor Farrell, Mike Eriquez, and Stefan Buckley. So oh no. You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, that was close. Oh, jeez. I believe that was self-inflicted.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, by the looks of it, like, Farrell just whoop. But very close call with the 2 up ahead of him. Oh.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am just looking forward to the race finish at this stage.
Yeah.
Rene Aoki actually pulled the fastest lap of the race so far, 136.5 on their last go around. Now the gap, 3.6 seconds to Grush in front. Austin Red trailing by 6 from P2. Let's talk about some positives, shall we? All right, and that's the end of talking about the positive. Oh wait, no, we got some stories here that we can talk about.
Or actually, Music just overtook Nielsen cleanly, so that's nice to see.
Impossible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Division 5, but can you blame me? This looks like it might be a return move, actually. Hang on. Let's keep an eye on this. Oh, Timothy Nielsen pulling over to allow the race leader through. That might have been a slightly aggressive move, so to speak. Was very, very heavy on the brakes there, letting the leader in. But I suppose you can't really fault somebody for being a good blue flag and moving over when you need to.
A little bit of... I looked away and it looked like there was a little argy-bargy moment with the race leader and Steven Music.
I did see Steven
going
off.
right into the... Yeah, he went right into the grass. There was contact.
Yeah, you can see P2, Aoki's trying to hunt down the leader, but just had to navigate Steven Music there. So that is the 43. That is P2 in front of Steven Music right now, who kind of made an aggressive shape there on the middle straight. So unsure exactly what the story is there for the 4.66, but Rene Aoki, the gap at 3.7, 3.6, 3.5 seconds here to the leader. I think they were kind of forced around the outside at turn 5 or 6, the hairpin. And I'm a little bit unsure about that one. We've got Stefan Buckley up behind JP May.
A note on JP May. Nobody has gained more positions this season than JP May. He has made up a total of 30 places from where he started to where he's finished. So someone who's accustomed to racing through the field, can he hold on to this one, though, and keep that lead for most positions gained? JP May.
Herrera's got the gap in front down to about a half second. Oh, man.
Yeah, Herrera's not done with Unda. I think he wants that spot back. He feels, you know, he went off, made the error on his own. Unda made the easy pass.
Buckley, I was just on board with, and it almost sounded like, for Buckley, an incorrect gear selection. Just trying, maybe it was a major short shift onto the middle straight for traction's sake. But I feel like that's the specific spot where you would want to, you know, try to be the most aggressive. Like I said, in the GTR, this is probably the fastest car in terms of straight line speed on the circuit. What am I missing? Hang on. What did I miss?
Tokyo Drift from Kevin Unda. Didn't lose anything though, so no harm, no foul there, but a little bit of moment at the penultimate corner. Sure, that was a big scare for him.
JP
Watch her right there.
Buckley.
Picture in picture.
Oh, DZ's got a yellow, but where are the PIP?
Mark.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of wheel spin there. Battle. Stefan Buckley maybe going for the little bit of a fake move. Faking towards the inside, parking on the apex is the 200. Oh, Stefan Buckley almost trying to sneak it up on the inside there for turn 2. Now in through the midfield section. Stefan wants this position. I love, though, this has been good, clean racing for the most part. JP May in front, kind of had to tap the brakes there if you're Stefan Buckley. JP May has been under significant pressure from the driver behind. It's been phenomenal here for Stefan Buckley in terms of getting into the head of the driver in front. JP May maybe a little bit slow on the power there, and that's going to be easy for the 173.
Stefan Buckley, 72 years old.
Yeah, I was just gonna point that out. Like, this guy is 72 years old, and he's making clean moves, clean everything, anything you can imagine, and he's just doing it. He's P17, and he's going. It's incredible to see at that age.
That's a
doing
textbook
sim
move.
racing.
That's a good move.
That's incredible.
I've just seen Vita go past Ian Demler a little bit ago. I think Demler might have been off. They're on an invalid lap right now. And it's looking like they're quite a few seconds behind. So Vita being promoted to 5th place with 6.5 minutes to go and a gap of 2 seconds to Demler behind. This is pretty much exactly where they want to be. Roger Rodriguez as well in 4th place. Had a relatively strong qualifying. They're up 1 position. Vita is up 9. Demler up 3. Spiker up 4 right now. Thompson and Colton where they started, but still in the top 10. It's going to be a solid finish for a lot of the stories that we talked about at the outset of the race. But the big one that I think is kind of on the table in terms of maybe not the race they wanted is Herrera down from 10th to 15th right now. Rufus down 19 places in P20 right now. There's no denying that he has had the worst race. If we had an anti-driver of the day, I guess it would be for him, but it's not his fault. It wasn't his fault. He got punted at turn 1.
Yeah, I think it was Rodriguez who's sitting in P4. I'd have to look at it again, but first look, it did look like Rodriguez started that accordion effect and cost Rufus dearly. I do want to point out quickly, though, picture in picture is going to be your leader, Grush. Look at all of the blue traffic he has to deal with. The gap to Grush to Aoki for 1st to 2nd, 3.5 seconds. That's a good amount. 5.5 minutes left in this race. Grush has got to be careful now.
Things are looking heated up between P22 right through P20 a few moments ago. Trying to do some overtakes in T1.
You see that's Rufus, Farrell, and Cowley kind of forming up a bit of a train here, and this is going to probably be a fight down to the wire. Herrera's still up behind Unda. DZ immediately behind James Spiker, currently in 10th place, and that's going to be a move up the inside here. I see a yellow flag in the background, but let's stick on this one for now. It's Farrell up inside, or excuse me, on the outside of Cowley, who loses that position, does Connor Farrell. He's going to sneak it up the inside the door. Might have been a little bit open there. And
Peeking. Thought about it, but decided to back out, which was the better option, all things considered. What we've seen earlier. Smart move.
That gives Rufus a little bit of breathing room. Not sure how long that's going to last. Rufus' race pace has not necessarily been phenomenal, but is a little bit better than a couple of cars behind, although he's already on an invalid lap, and the gap is formed up immediately. Cowley only about half a second behind, and oh, that looks like good traction there for Cowley up against Dan Rufus, and Cowley gonna have the racing line in off of the middle straight. This is gonna be somewhat close. Porsche on the inside, Ferrari on the outside, side by side they go, and it's Cowley in front.
Now Rufus just has to think about Farrell right behind him.
Oop. I think Farrell might have had a little bit of wheel spin there, so that might alleviate some of that pressure immediately. But I expect this fight to pretty much come down to the line.
Mike Cowley coming off his best performance of the season, 6th place at Paul Ricard.
Oh, Aaron Kovac, yellow.
Well, we've seen those before.
Unfortunate.
That was, wait a minute, that was Rene Oki who saw that potential rejoin coming in there. That might have been a bit of a scare for them. Talking on the blue flag traffic, though, it looks like it's really benefited the race leader. The gap just shy of 5 seconds now between Grush and Aoki.
It's Jonathan Grush, your leader here at Indianapolis. He was in 2nd place at Snetterton. That was his first career SRA podium. No wins for Jonathan Grush. He's 2.5 minutes away from getting that first maiden career victory.
Oh, the race leader parked right in the middle of the track along with...
That was Dan Rufus!
Dan Rufus. Oh, no. Where is Rene
Picture in picture. Picture in picture.
We gotta see this.
Leader change. Rene
my
Oki
goodness.
now for the lead by 5.1 seconds away from Grush. Oh,
Grush
that's...
waiting for the move
Grush
on the
is
blue flag
not
traffic.
happy.
You don't need to save that time if you're Grush, though. I mean, you had a 5-second gap on like the last 2 or 3 laps of the race. You could have waited behind that. You could have waited behind that. I need to see that again. Maybe it was early braking for Dan Rufus that he wasn't expecting. Maybe it was something else out of the ordinary. But Rufus is around again. I don't know what's gone on, but now it's a whole thing. There's not much more to be said about it. This is, oh no, more contact. No, that's Austin Red. That's P3 Austin Red, along with Thomas Greer. You just can't have these kinds of incidents.
This is blue traffic. This is blue lap traffic for Austin Red. He's in the pink Lamborghini. Bentley goes off. Where does this happen?
How in the world?
I don't even know what to think about that.
You got to have better spatial awareness. If you're that Bentley, the 664, who is that? That's Greer.
I honestly, I can't say. Rodriguez is promoted onto the podium now, though. We're not quite on the last lap of the race. Josh Grush 5 seconds behind new race leader Rene Aoki after that huge incident at the hairpin on what looks to be, it's going to be the 3rd to last lap of the race if they don't wave the checkered flag here. And Grush, had another yellow flag. It was a little bit of wheel spin on the middle straight. You just got to bring it home. You just got to bring it home now. It sucks, yes, but there's nothing you can do about it now.
Yeah, it's race. It's a part of racing, unfortunately. I mean, you can get so frustrated, but it won't change anything.
Yellow flags on the main straight.
Marie.
Kevin under.
Oh.
I don't know. Get maybe Herrera back about 30 seconds to see what happened there on the main straight.
I think we got to be with our leader, though. This is Aoki.
This is going to be the white flag shown for Rene Aoki, officially onto the final lap of the race. That's the checkered flag. Rene Aoki has got it.
For Rene Aoki.
Wow.
Well, however your success comes about, that is the race win for Rene Aoki. Josh Grush in P2. Probably not going to be too satisfied with that one. Rodriguez comes over the line in 3rd. Again, however it comes about, there's a yellow flag for David Herrera, but he's still on track. Austin Red, P4 as well. Vita, P5, solid finish. Demler in 6th. Colton in 7th. it'll be Tyler Thompson followed by teammate James Spiker as well, just about rounding out your top 10. And there are so many stories that were told on the first and the last couple of laps here for this race. I don't know what else there is to say about it.
Oh, man.
Ren Aoki, I mean, didn't race at Kyalami, 9th at Snetterton, 13th at Paul Ricard. We got a GTR doing donuts in your picture-in-picture.
GTR winning. How about that?
And Tyrell Foster with the pit lane start on one of the longest pit lanes that you could possibly ask for, finishing in P14 ahead of David Herrera.
Give that some spins, Aoki. One of the longest tenured drivers at SRA. He's been racing since season 1. He has one career win, 2 podiums. You can do all the donuts you want, Ren Aoki.
History
Congratulations.
has been made.
Second
Congrats.
career win. It was gifted to him, right? Grush had this locked up. 2.5 minutes left to go in this race. But don't take it away from Aoki. You know, I don't think there's luck in sim racing. He put his car, he was in second place, and he earned it, right? Grush may have made a critical error, but don't discredit Aoki.
Well, you talk about
That was well deserved.
you talk about like in the context of an hour-long race, right? We talk about the context of an hour-long race, and Grush makes one error, one single error. Honestly, I think that just making one error is already impressive, but Ren Aoki made 0. And I think that there would be the key. That's what when you say there's no luck in sim racing. Yeah, I think you're most likely right. I mean, of course, say for, you know, if your internet disconnects, I would call that unlucky, but we didn't have that this race. It was not a factor. It was always Josh Grush versus Ren Aoki, or I guess for a reasonable period of time, Austin Red. But Aoki simply made 0 errors. Josh Grush made 1, and it cost him 10 seconds, the race lead, and the victory. So, yeah, hand it over to the GTR, the number 43 of Ren Aoki, with the race win here on Indianapolis, and a chaotic Indianapolis at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
Ren Aoki, that not a name like we said we would coming into this. He had a great qualifying, started the race front row, I believe, right, alongside Foster.
They were Ren Aoki.
Rufus, excuse me.
I don't know if they were front row, but they were
Front row.
definitely
He was
right up there.
He was up there. He was up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. First win since the start. That's amazing.
I think it's his second career win. First career win, I don't know where that happened. He's been racing 10 seasons. I couldn't tell you. But the results don't come often. We mentioned that earlier. For someone who's been racing 10 seasons, he's got 2 podiums in 10 seasons. That's how hard sim racing can be. There's 40 people on track, right? And he got his first career win. You could just see how happy he was.
Oh, yeah.
Spinning
Those
that
mini
car around.
donuts, basking it in. Like, just bask it in. That's well deserved.
For
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely.
I mean, just one little, I mean, a little bit of lap time away from having the perfect weekend, right? It would have been pole position if they were just 0.2 faster, not even quite 0.2, more like 0.18 seconds faster in qualifying, starting on pole position. They would have had the best lap in qualifying. They had the fastest lap in the race, and they take the race win. So they very nearly had the perfect weekend. The holy trinity of sim racing. But I mean, 111 points still gotta feel pretty good there for Ren Aoki. So solid finish for them. Again, for Roger Rodriguez, top 5 finish there for Champion Motorsports. So that's a solid spot. Or excuse me, that was P3. I was about to say, I was like, I thought he finished higher than that. I was looking at the qualifying. But that's a good finish there for Roger Rodriguez, able to convert that. Brigele Vita, again, P5. Ian Demler in 6th. Donovan Colton, 7th. We saw him perform very strongly at Paul Ricard, so it's nice to see that bit of return to form there. Tyler Thompson and James Spiker, some of my OBDA guys for Course Expositura, your team series leaders last time we checked, which we'll have to get an update on that. But 8th and 9th position is a lot of solid points there if you're trying to take the Constructors' Championship I mean, just keep on doing that, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I don't think Van Sickle and Cowley made much of an impact today in the race. I'll have to check where they finished, but
I
of
don't
course,
think
the
Van Sickle
Spazzatura.
was on track today.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
definitely
no.
leaders there, and no drop rounds in team standing. So Spazzatura definitely going to maintain team championship lead there.
Let's see. Looking further down the order. Again, Thomas Ma. Insane drive from them. 13th from a quality ban. Tyrell Foster from a pit lane start into 14th with a lot of clean overtakes. That 998 Aston Martin, I think he might be, for me personally, the driver of the day, actually. I was going to maybe give it to Thomas Ma, but the quality ban, I don't think equates to a pit lane start. So I'm going to say driver of the day for the 998, Tyrell Foster. Many clean overtakes. And surely, yeah, you got some from incidents that happened ahead. But we saw on-track moves from Tyrell Foster, same way we did at Paul Ricard. They were clean, they were effectively made, and he moved right the way up the order. So huge hand from me to Tyrell Foster for Stardust Competizione.
Coming off a podium, too, at Paul Ricard. So, 6th at Snetterton, 3rd at Paul Ricard, fastest lap at Snetterton. One of the fastest laps at Paul Ricard, and for him to move up the order, I think that's as good a result as you can ask for, considering where he started in the pits.
All right. All that being said, we gotta talk to him in person, and you already know who it is.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull him on into the chat here, and say hello to Ren Aoki with the
Hello.
dub.
Hello.
Oh, what? He's gone.
Wait.
What happened?
Wait, what?
Wait.
What?
Did someone just steal Ren from us?
You did say hello.
He did say hello. We'll look to get him back.
Yeah.
What?
That was interesting.
Try him again. We can try him again.
I don't know if he realized where he was. Maybe he got pulled out and he thought, oh, somebody just pulled me to a different chat. I'm gonna go back to the race review. I'll just ping him for now. Or Selena, can I have you ping Ren in the Division 5 chat? And then I guess, who else are we gonna pull? I don't know. We were immediately on board with that.
Well, we can get Grush in here while we wait for Aoki.
Let's see. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to stir the pot, but we're gonna do it. Oh,
Sorry about that.
what happened?
I just clicked that by accident. I'm so excited.
Don't blame me for that one.
We saw the donuts after the race. Tell us about your emotions. I think it's your second career win. How did it feel? A lot happened in those last 2 minutes.
My biggest bet during the whole race, I knew I wasn't gonna catch up to any of the leaders on pace alone. So my biggest bet was actually in the pits, out of all things, because I knew I was good there. So I had practiced going in the pits a million times and just got it perfect enough to where I was close enough to the leader towards the end. And then I was just hoping something would happen, but I was there.
I mean, you had an insane pit stop too. We looked at the time stopped, and Grush, who was ahead of you at the time, it was like a 10-second gap before you went into the pits. You entered the pits on the same lap, and you were only 2 seconds behind after the pit stop. So it looks like your practice certainly paid off, and you were on track for a P2 finish, even if the incident ahead didn't happen. I mean,
I was going to be happy with a P2. Honestly, I needed this podium finish turned into a win. Oh my gosh, I can't describe it. The emotions.
So you see Grush. He's sideways on the track. What goes through your mind?
I didn't know it was him at the time. I thought it was just two blue flags that got into a wreck. And then I look ahead of me and I'm like, oh, where is he? What? Oh, where? He's behind me. Oh, and then that's when I started smiling about a lap and a half before the finish.
Yes, that's great.
Nice.
That is great, Ren. Congratulations, man. That was fun to watch. You also, by the way, you said you didn't have the pace. You had the fastest lap of the race.
That was, I don't know how I did that. I think I stopped breathing on that lap, and then I remembered to breathe afterwards.
So in the zone that the basic respiration becomes a secondary task.
You don't need to breathe for a minute and a half.
That's roughly the lap time. Yeah. No, it's a 136.5, which actually beats out the pole time from Dan Rufus, which is a 136.56. I mean, you almost had the trifecta of pole position, fastest lap, and the race win. You were only 1.8 tenths off of pole position as well. I mean, your confidence must have already been pretty high at race start. But
I wish I had another lap to go in qualifying, but I had to go to the bathroom, so I missed the first few minutes.
well,
So either way, third place for one lap, not bad.
yeah, I mean, congratulations on the win. Before we let you go, do you have any special shout-outs you want to make to anybody?
To all of you, the commentators in the booths, I love you guys. You guys are the best.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Give yourselves a pat on the back. You deserve it.
Pat.
Yes. All right. Thanks so much for coming to talk to us. And once again, congratulations on the race win, sir.
Thank you.
Jeez.
He loves us.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't even think my wife
Incredible.
loves me today.
I was about to say, I'm not sure if they're going to love us so much after they go back and watch us kind of talking about them on the VOD, because, oh boy. I mean, D5.
Well, to be fair, so much happened, so.
Yeah. D5, it's like, it's you know, if you guys are watching this back, or if you're watching live, we love you guys. But oh my God, please, for the love of
Patience.
the big old G in the sky. God, just be patient. Like, make a clean move. I don't know. I don't know what there is to say.
We got a chance at Roger Rodriguez, our third place finisher, or Josh Grush, our second place finisher.
I feel like it's gonna be some really tense moments from Josh Grush, potentially.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
Yeah, it was a spicy race, so yeah, I'm on the fence on that one too.
tentatively optimistic about that. In fact, let me just get a word in edgeways with him real fast. But I don't see Roger Rodriguez in there.
No, I don't
am I missing him?
either.
So we might just have to settle. It was a good result though from many racers. So while it may have been chaotic, there was still a good couple of moments there where we can look at that and say, yeah, that was an interesting race. For some, in Grush is accepting the invitation onto the stream, so I guess we'll see him in just a second. So here he is, Josh Grush. Look, we don't need to say anything about it. We know what happened. I mean,
Yep.
P2 still solid, but not nearly what you were hoping for, surely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, basically, I felt like I had it at the bag at the end, and you know, it is what it is. That's racing. It happens. Learn from the mistakes and move on. You know.
Yep, exactly.
If there's a silver lining, though, Josh, I do believe you will be leading this championship. So points are a premium. You didn't get that, maiden first win, but in a big picture, you should be leading this championship because you did finish ahead of Austin Red. Does that make you feel any better?
It does. I didn't know that, so that's good to know. Coming into SRA as a rookie, just being able to lead a championship is kind of actually crazy to me. Wow. I don't know what to say about that, but
Yeah, well, I mean, looking forward still, I mean, we're halfway through the season, so you're leading the championship, yes. You already have your drop race, though, at Kyalami. I mean, is there any pressure, do you think, on you to continue performing now that you're in the lead fight? With Valencia coming up next, obviously, it'll be a little bit more cut and dry, but Spa in the wet is the one that I'm looking at in particular that might throw a real wrench in the gears. I mean, do you have any thoughts on the remainder of the season?
I love Spa. It's actually my second favorite track behind Laguna. So it being in the wet's actually not that terrifying for me. Just, got to avoid lap one incidents and then stay solid the whole race. But no, the rest of the season, just riding consistent. It seems like I've got decent pace. So that's all I can think about.
Josh, keep your head up. I mean, I get it. It's your second podium, the second time you finished just one place shy of getting your first win. You are very, very close, and you were just 2 minutes. I know it's heartbreaking. I got confidence in you, and a full season, half season still to go.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week, sir. So we'll send you on back. And I think something worth noting, I'm looking at the race times right now, and it kind of does suck here for Grush. I don't think that this would ever happen, because we didn't see any incidents involving Aoki. But if Aoki did receive a 5-second penalty, the gap would be about 0.05 between Aoki and Grush, and Aoki would still have the win. So even with all the things that happened, you can't even hope for that 5-second penalty to come down the line.
Yeah, so the third place finisher was Roger Rodriguez, and if we're not going to be able to get him in chat, I think it is of note. We mentioned it during the race. He may have been the driver who was responsible for Rufus. We're going to leave that to the stewards. But first look, it did look like he started a bump. We know the stewards are very, very strict on turn 1 incidents. So will Rodriguez hold on to that podium?
It's a good question. I mean, if it was an incident, I mean, 5 seconds for lap 1, bumping out in an accordion effect, again, the pole sitter, that seemed like it would be very harshly punished. So even if it was only a 5-second penalty, if they do apply a penalty to Roger Rodriguez, that would move him down 2 positions. So Austin Red could potentially look at a podium. I don't remember if Austin Red got into many incidents today. I think there might have been a couple, but nothing severe, that's for sure. Of course, with the P4 finish, you don't tend to get into many incidents and still finish that high up unless it's very, very early on in the race. Same goes for VTA. So a promotion for them would surely be welcome, and they would have a very solid finish, kind of getting themselves up a little bit more in the season. Ian Demler, followed by Donovan Golden, Tyler Thompson, James Spiker, and DZ. Solid top 10. I think I'm about ready to round it out there. Honestly, I'm super satisfied with how things went for today. Well, in terms of how the top 10 kind of, ended up being with the drivers that are in the top 10, but there were a lot of things that happened within the top 10 that maybe weren't so as
Fortunately.
yeah. It was interesting to watch. It was an interesting race. Was it the best one of the season?
Certainly, maybe the most drama.
No,
That's true. That is
Pretty much,
very true. So
yeah.
if we're gonna say most dramatic race of the season, I think that we can safely say so far it has been tonight at Indianapolis. So I don't think there'll be any objections to that. But before we do close it out, we want to give, of course, a huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at the Sim Racing Alliance, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. You can go to documise.com to learn more today. Support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and more. You can enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And, of course, a huge thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. You can experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. You can use code SRATE at checkout to support us specifically. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. You can enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced heads-up display to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience with premium 3D printed accessories, featuring precision-crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style. Elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. And finally, to-go setups, premium esports setups for everyone. We all use them here in the booth. Use our affiliate link on the Discord and take your drive to the next level. And at long last, the race is over. We got a little bit of words from some of the drivers, and it's time for the closing thoughts. I just pray for clean racing tomorrow in Division 3. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm a little bit more nervous for tomorrow after what we've seen tonight. I mean, it's Indianapolis. I think from season 8, from what I can remember, I think it was pretty clean. Certainly, from what I can remember, a lot cleaner than tonight. But I mean, it's a whole new season, and We'll see about tonight. A little nervous on the edge, but hoping for a clean race. D3 has been pretty good so far, so.
Final thoughts for you, my good sir, Andrew?
I mean, it's heartbreak for Josh Grush. Just 2.5 minutes away from his first race win. But credit Ren Aoki, fastest lap of the race. We got to see a GTR do donuts at the finish. Congratulations, Ren Aoki. His second career win in 10 seasons.
Yes, that's a good point to point out. And also, I believe, Andrew Reif, as you mentioned earlier, with Tyrell Foster, his great laps that he put out with clean overtakes, that would be a highlight for me as well.
Absolutely. I'm sure that he'll be glad to hear that. You know, we're
Oh,
calling
yeah.
him out specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing, Thomas Maw and Tyrell Foster next week when they don't have qualifying bans, ideally.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they can do. Josh Grush, very strong with the pace still. Next week is, of course, going to be Valencia in the dry. And then following week, we have to keep an eye on him, too, for Spa on the wet. He was talking about how he's looking forward to that. So Valencia in the dry. Next week, it'll be round 5. There'll be more racing going on tomorrow evening. Of course, that is the remaining divisions that weren't on stream tonight, which I believe will be divisions 3, 2, and 6. I led with division 3 and not going in numerical order because division 3 is best division. I'm not biased at all, and I'm really hoping that I don't get a drive-through tomorrow for track limits, because I did on the second to last lap of Paul Ricard, and I was so heated about it. But that's going to be it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, more racing tomorrow, same time, same place, and we specifically will be seeing you next week for round 5.